Good Wednesday afternoon to you. It's 4 o'clock time for Sports4CLE. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for joining us a little later in the show. Spencer German from 92.3 The Fan will join us. We'll talk plenty of Browns OTAs going on out in Berea. We will check in a little bit with Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. Hayden was out at OTAs. We begin with some Deshaun Watson news and news again. That's not great. This is from the leagueofjustice.com, written by Amy Dash. She is a legal analyst for CBS Sports Radio and Fox Sports Radios. Tony Busby is saying, we are at the tip of the iceberg right now with this situation. Not only are people trying to protect their assets, but people are trying to minimize and denigrate women. A lot of this is going to come out as we move forward. Again, an article from Amy Dash, leagueofjustice.com. Deshaun Watson has heard the latest allegations, takes to his Instagram account, and he quotes Rich Off Pain by Little Baby Little Dirk and Rod Wave, a rap group. See the blogs, can't break me down. I'm the voice, I don't reply, but the rumors y'all done heard, I'm humbly deny. So again, maintaining his innocence is Deshaun Watson. The question that comes to mind regarding the latest allegations, those made in the New York Times article by Jenny Vantros, did the Browns know about those? Did the NFL know about those? Those are the two key questions that need to be answered. If not, that's more of a problem than originally thought. If both the league and the Browns knew about these 66 women that have had massages that they have given to Deshaun Watson, it's less of a problem, more of a problem if not. It's also kind of interesting that questions about Deshaun Watson's guaranteed contract have come up. This is from Andrew Brandt appearing on the Pat McAfee show about his understanding about the way the Browns constructed Deshaun Watson's guaranteed contract, 5 years, $230 million.
And I was told, and actually by a reliable source, that this contract had protections far beyond other contracts for the player. In other words, it looked like this contract was written by the agent for Watson. Again, the Southern teams, this is a kid from the South, the Saints and Panthers and Falcons were in this, and the Cleveland Browns were out. Well, how did the Cleveland Browns get back in? It's the contract, $230 million, 46 a year, fully guaranteed. What I am told about his misconduct is that what has happened with these accusations will not affect any kind of void of suspensions for void of guarantees for 2023 for any of the contract based on what's happened. So anything that happens new is going to affect potential future guarantees, but not for 2022 or 2023. It could affect 24 through 26. So 22 and 23 are completely rock solid. 24 through 26, if he gets in new problems of misconduct, then they can go after some guaranteed money.
And again, nobody is certain what the Browns, what the NFL knew about the New York Times article that alleges 66 people over a 17-month period have given massages to Deshaun Watson. And there was some intonation there that Director of Security for the Texans knew that, gave him NDAs to give to the masseuses. Stephen A. Smith sounds off about the whole Deshaun Watson situation and what he thinks about it.
Just yesterday, the number grew to 24. By the time you watch this, it could be even higher. But as the numbers grow, one thing stays the same: the NFL's inaction. Oh, the league will tell you they're doing something, that they're investigating the allegations, that they're doing their due diligence. But that process is flawed on its face. The National Football League is not law enforcement. It's not the judicial system. It's a damn tackle football league. The Cleveland Browns, a football team, said they did their due diligence too. And look how that turned out. Time and time again, when previous NFL players were accused of heinous acts, including acts that did not ultimately lead to charges, the NFL dropped the hammer and handed out suspensions for tarnishing the reputation of the league. So what's the holdup here? What does the number of accusers have to grow to before Watson is suspended? 30? 50? More? The first accusations against Watson were levied 15 months ago now. Enough's enough. Whatever you're going to do with Deshaun Watson, you're going to suspend him, suspend him. You're not going to suspend him, don't suspend him. You're going to give him 6 games, you're going to give him 8 games, you're going to give him 10 games, you're going to give him an entire season. Do it.
And it's when Stephen A. Smith starts making sense, it's time to really scratch your head. Kevin Stefanski was asked about the Deshaun Watson situation repeatedly, as you would expect at the media availability at organized team activities today. Said he just wants to let the legal proceedings play out before he comments. With that, let's welcome in Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer, as well as cleveland.com. Hayden, you were out at media availability and out at the OTAs. Kevin Stefanski has to say that. That's kind of all you can do at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to say anything. He's kind of left twisting in the wind while everybody else is, not answering questions, be that Deshaun, be that the Haslams, whoever, the GM. So it's all on right now. It's all on Kevin Stefanski. So I kind of feel bad for him that he's kind of having to be out there by himself. But outside of that, I mean, there at this point, yes, there's more allegations, but there are no more civil suits outside of the 2 that were filed. So I suppose that they're just going to have to let the legal process. I know it's a lame answer, but maybe there's more that the both sides of the legal process know than anybody else. So we'll see.
Yeah, and the NFL and the Browns may very well have known about the other information that came out in that New York Times article. Nobody will know that until one or the other decides to let us know exactly what they know. So the Browns had another OTA session out in Berea. Again, it's voluntary, not mandatory. Not on the field, Baker Mayfield, Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, Joel Bitonio, Greedy Williams, and David Njoku. Important to note, it is voluntary, not mandatory, so none of those players missing are dinged or anything, and they don't need an excuse because it's voluntary.
Yeah, they'll be back at minicamp next week for 3 practices. All those guys, I think, outside of Bitonio and Baker, have been there for at least one or two practices. So I'm not super concerned about those guys not being there. They've had plenty of time this offseason. So yeah, they'll be out there. They'll be good to go. I'm not worried about them whatsoever.
So Deshaun Watson was on the field and going through drills out in Berea with his team, and actually looking pretty good again. Mobile, you see the quick release. You see a lot of the things that we heard about Deshaun Watson, the quarterback. And, it's the football aspect of Deshaun Watson is reason to get kind of excited. And, again, it just looks crisp, delivers the ball on time, on target. Hayden, we've talked about this a little bit in the past. When you see him play quarterback, it just looks a little different than what you're used to seeing.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt the on-field talent's there. I mean, the arm is there, the quick release. I mean, he's athletic, he's strong. He's got pretty much everything you want to see in a quarterback. There's a reason he's a top 5 talent in the NFL at the position. I think everything else is just the issue. So on the field, there's no issue. I mean, there's zero issue. The guy can fling it. He can do it with ease. He's just got that special ability. Nothing against Baker Mayfield, because Baker Mayfield just has to use his whole body to throw, and it's a violent motion, whereas Deshaun is just so clean, crisp, and quick, and it's just easy. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not the on the field stuff that's the matter with Deshaun Watson. It's the off the field stuff. So on the field, things are looking good, but again, it doesn't really matter if he's not going to be on the field. Well, that's the problem.
Yep, and that's still the the $1 million question. How many games, if any, he gets to play this year? All right, some news, and this comes from Mary Kay Cabot tweeting this out. Baker Mayfield will be excused from mandatory minicamp. It was a mutual decision between Browns and Baker Mayfield not to have him show up next week at mandatory minicamp. Not a surprise, and probably the right move given everything that's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it just would be even more of a distraction of their story that doesn't need to be happening. I mean, nobody is expecting Baker Mayfield to play for the Browns this year. Nobody is expecting Baker Mayfield to be on the field this year in Cleveland at all. I mean, nobody is expecting him to be on the field in training camp or minicamp. So the Browns are kind of just paying him to stay away, say, hey, we're not going to find you. Just kind of stay away. We're still working through your situation. We want to get something for you. So it makes sense. It's not, it's not an ideal situation. It's very fluid, but it certainly makes sense for the Browns to kind of let him go.
The other thing that happened today out in Berea at minicamp, Cade York kicking in front of the media for the first time, and by all accounts, putting on quite a show. That one is from 60-ish yards out, and it had plenty of leg, and he displayed, and again, it's practice, it's not game situations, but you see the leg and the accuracy that he was known for, and the reason the Browns went up and got him in the 4th round of the draft.
Yeah, it's a lot different kicking in 70 degrees in June than it is in kicking, 40 degrees, 30 degrees, 20 degrees in November in Cleveland. So, it's a good sign. I mean, he definitely has the leg. There's no doubt there, and I think he's an accurate kicker. But there's something different about kicking in First Energy Stadium. So it's going to be on him to learn. It's going to be on him to work on it a lot.
Yeah, and again, good first impression. Let's see what happens when things count and he puts points on the board. Hayden Grove and I are going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Other side of the break, we'll talk a little bit more about OTAs. We'll also head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about Baker Mayfield. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. Browns wrapped up another session of OTAs out in Berea. We continue talking Browns with Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason for the first time today. This one about Baker Mayfield and an idea for him.
Just watching your latest show right now, the breaking news about the Watson and the women. I think the very best thing that could happen would be for the front office to go hat in hand to Baker Mayfield and beg him to come back, because it sure isn't looking good for Mr. Watson. Go Browns. Woof.
Love the barks, love the voicemails. Hayden, if Watson is in fact suspended for the entire season, and there's a way for the team and Mayfield to mend fences, it's probably in the best interest for both of them. That just doesn't seem possible at this point.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think the Browns have disrespected Baker Mayfield enough to the point where he wouldn't even consider giving them the time of day. The Browns might be willing to do it because I think the Browns do think that he's a legitimate quarterback in the NFL, and that's why they're waiting to trade him, because they want to get a legitimate piece for him, or a piece or two for him. So I think that, on the Browns' accord, they would be willing to do it. I don't think on Baker's accord he would be, or maybe even should be, given the way that he's felt about this whole offseason.
That's fair, but let me run this by you. Again, it would be a one-year deal. Is is Baker Mayfield going to go to a situation where he can succeed potentially as much as he can with the pieces around him? If you're talking about the Panthers, no. The Seahawks, no. The pieces here in Cleveland, and again, this is completely hypothetical, don't you think it would give him the best opportunity to potentially succeed?
Yeah, I think it would, but again, I think it's more about everything else. There's not a lot of love between Kevin Stefanski and him. It's not a lot of love between the whole situation with everything that happened on the defense. They still don't like him, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's a tenable situation. I don't know if the distraction is enough, and for him to be playing on kind of a 1-year, lame duck deal, would he just kind of? I mean, I know he would try, but I don't know. It would be a really difficult situation, and honestly, if he did do it, I would have a ton of respect for him. I mean, that would be a remarkable situation to come back and say, all right, fine. You guys didn't want me. I'm going to prove you why you're going to miss me when I'm out of the door. So we'll see what happens. But it would certainly be a situation that I've never seen before.
Fair enough. All right, let's go back and take a look at some more OTA action. So John Johnson III, another pick six. Good thing that the Browns quarterbacks do not have to face John Johnson III, playing extremely well. And what's been your impressions? And again, I know they're not in pads. Well, how's the defense looked just from your perspective during the OTAs that you've seen?
I don't even know how to answer that, honestly. It's just they look together. I'll give you that. They look together. They look like they know what they're doing. But they're not playing at 100% speed. They're not. I mean, that play, yes, was one of the faster plays of the day. But I think Deshaun's also just trying to see what he's got in his receivers. He's trying to figure out timing, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But it's good to see John Johnson making plays. I mean, that's what we want to see from your safety. So I wouldn't say much about the defense at this point. Like I said, no pads are on. They're not really even going full speed in 7 or 11 on 11s. So it's hard to say what the defense is really looking like at this point.
Fair enough. All right, here's a guy that could become extremely important for the Browns. Jacoby Brissett getting in some work at the quarterback position. You see that one's completed to David Bell. Brissett, big guy, mobile, little bit thrown underneath there. You see, again, Brissett kind of working with some of the tight ends. And again, Jacoby Brissett to Harrison Bryant. When you look at it, what is a realistic expectation, do you think, if Jacoby Brissett has to start a significant amount of games?
Well, Dave, you have your running game, which is, your bread and butter. You have a good defense. So if you want to play running and defense football, you can win games that way. I don't think you're looking at, a situation where I think you're going to win, double-digit 10, 11, 12 games. But I think you can be competitive with Jacoby Brissett. I do. And if he's out, if Deshaun's out for 8 to 10 games, I think he could probably keep you afloat towards the end of the season when it's prime time. So I love Jacoby Brissett. I think Jacoby Brissett is a really, really good backup option. Like you said, big, strong guy with a lot of NFL experience, has played the game, can play at a high level, can win games. So for that reason, I would say Jacoby Brissett is a decent option as a backup, and I think he could keep them afloat if there was to be a big suspension for Deshaun.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And again, the way I always couch this is, remember, we're not comparing the quarterback play last year to Baker Mayfield being 100% and healthy. You got Baker Mayfield probably at his worst a season ago, and you found a way to win 9 games. So I think Jacoby Brissett is probably better than that version, significantly better than that version of Baker Mayfield. And this defense is probably going to be better than it was last year.
Yeah, and for that reason, like I said, I think, you could probably go and win 9-10 games if you play the whole year. But the NFL is such a weird league. And, last year I just think that everything that could go wrong went wrong for the Browns. They probably should have had 10 wins even with Baker's crappy quarterback play. So, with him being hurt leading to his crappy quarterback play, he would admit the same thing. I mean, there were certain games where it wasn't even his fault, though. I mean, the Chargers game, they put up 40-something points. They still lost. The defense was terrible that day. There were other games that the defense didn't play well. There were other days where things happened where they were out of control. So there's no reason that this team can't use running and defense to win football games. And I think they, will still be fine no matter who's the quarterback. Now,
you mentioned Jacoby Brissett. Give us some of the things that you have seen that he does well. And I know you've looked at him quite a bit and you like him. If you were going to say, Jacoby Brissett can do this, this, and this, and that's why he is a competent or better NFL quarterback?
Yeah, I think I like from Jacoby Brissett. I don't think he's as mobile as people think he is, but I think he's got a really good feel for the game. I think he's a good leader in that locker room. I think he's a very smart quarterback, knows what he's getting into, knows what he's looking at, not going to make stupid mistakes, mature, that kind of thing. Just a good decision maker. Again, not an incredible arm, not an incredibly accurate quarterback, but you don't always need that. You need a guy that just has the game under control, slows the game down, makes the right reads. That's the kind of quarterback Jacoby Brissett is, in my opinion. So, you're not going to see anything jumping off the page at you, I don't think. But you got a guy who's been there, who can, like I said, just has control of the situation, plays calm, cool, and collected, and not gonna go out there and make huge mistakes and cost your football team.
And is likely to make the 2 or 3 plays in key situations that will help you win football games when you need it.
Right, exactly.
Hayden Grove and I are going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Other side of the break, we'll turn our attention to the defensive side of the football and Myles Garrett to start things out. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about Myles Garrett.
How you guys doing? It's ET again. I've been hearing everybody talk about the defense, and we re-signed Jadeveon Clowney, which is a huge win. So I want to ask a question that I'd like for everyone to ponder. What year should we be expecting from Myles Garrett? Should we be expecting a defensive player of the year type caliber season from him? I know he's been the best player, most consistent best player. I understand that. But should we expect for him, especially with this defense's second, third year players in here, a lot of continuity, should we expecting a dominant season and a potential defensive player of the year type season from Myles? What do you guys think? Thank you. Have a nice day. Go Dogs.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Hayden, I think he was on the way the last 2 years to having that kind of season. Last year, pretty bad groin injury, which is really bad for a defensive, lineman like that. Year before COVID, he's got to stay healthy. If he stays healthy, I think he's right in that conversation. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I've said this before. I think he's just got to finish. I mean, injuries are injuries and they happen. I get that. But even then, I think that I'm not coming at Myles at all. Myles is an incredible player, but I think that if he wants to reach that second gear, he's got to be able to finish. You want to be able to call yourself Defensive Player of the Year, then you got to finish. Is find a way to get through, the injuries. And I know a lot of it's luck, and I get that, but you're right. It's been COVID. It's been the injuries. It's been the suspension the year before that. I mean, he can't seem to find a way to finish a season strong. Like, that's the one thing he's missing, is just finishing a season strong. He's had 3 years in a row where he started off really well and just kind of trickled down. We need to see Myles Garrett start and finish the season with the same intensity. So maybe that's something he's working on this offseason. I mean, all the physical tools are there. He's dominant. When he wants to be, he's dominant, absolutely dominant. Can get to the quarterback, makes it a nightmare for defenses. Him and Jadeveon together certainly make a nightmare for offensive linemen. But I want to see him finish. I do. I want to see him finish games. I want to see him finish season. So that's what I want to see. I want to see Myles Garrett just put it together.
Yeah, and I'm with you. A lot of it is luck. He gets double teamed, triple teamed, and that does take a toll on a guy's body. You mentioned him, trying to get strong and get ready. Take a look at this, and pay attention here. Here he is squatting 635 pounds, and that's not a problem at all. Is Myles Garrett doing it 3 times without any problem at all. Again, 635 pounds is what that adds up to. There's Garrett doing that. Now take a look at this. He is box jumping 64 inches from no running start. That's 5 feet 4 inches that your 280-pound defensive lineman can do. So my question to you, which is more impressive in your mind? Squatting that or jumping 5'4", he could land on my shoulders. I mean, he'd put me into the ground 6 feet, but he could land on my shoulders probably. I'm 5'9".
Yeah, I would say that the box jump's more impressive. I mean, you've seen a lot of strong guys, but a lot of strong guys that can do that, no. I don't think Nick Chubb's doing that. So it's remarkable how physically incredible he is. I mean, God built him differently. So, like I said, everything's there for him. He's been blessed enough. He's worked hard enough to be there, to be right in that conversation, to be a rookie, or it's not rookie of the year, defensive player of the year candidate. But one time he's just got to figure out a way to stay healthy and to not, obviously the suspension 2-3 years ago, got to figure out the way to put it together and have this magical season that I know that he can have.
Yeah, and if he does that, he's going to grab along a defense and take it with him as well, which good things for the Browns. This is from CBSSports.com. AFC rookies drafted after day one who could earn key roles. And they go with the Browns, David Bell. Impressive stat to know about David Bell. 101.5 yards per game across 29 career outings at Purdue. And Hayden, the thing that makes that impressive, everybody knew they were going to throw the football to David Bell, and they couldn't stop him.
Yeah, it's just, I think that sometimes we get so caught up in the Myles Garrett's athleticism, right? We get so caught up in those videos. We get so caught up in Nick Chubb squatting 450 or how about 600, whatever he was doing. We get so caught up in Myles Garrett squatting. Sometimes, though, it's not about the physical ability. Sometimes it's about the mental ability. Sometimes it's just about the knowledge of the game, the way to play the game. Jarvis Landry, not physically all that intimidating, not physically all that strong, all that fast. But guess what? Found a way to get open, had amazing hands. David Bell, they're kind of hoping the same thing. Found a way to get open, has amazing hands. That's what you want to see. So I agree that David Bell is probably a big factor for this Browns team, especially if they don't bring in another wide receiver, which I think they should. But David Bell, again, find a way to get open and catch the ball. That's the thing with Amari Cooper, too. Nothing about him physically is like, man, oh my gosh. Like Odell was physically a freak. You could just see the way that his body moved. It was so unnaturally just how smooth he was and could grab anything from anywhere and just athletically gifted. But Amari Cooper, just a route running technician, found a way to get open, catches the football. That's what the Browns need. It's just enough of this spectacular stuff, enough of that, just get the job done. And that's exactly what Amari Cooper and David Bell do.
Yep. At the end of the day, you're playing football. Throw the ball, catch the ball, get yardage.
That's right.
One of the guys that maybe some fans are sleeping on, but the Browns think pretty highly of, is Anthony Schwartz, third-round pick last year, a lot of speed. Kevin Stefanski talked about what he has seen thus far in the offseason and OTAs from Anthony Schwartz.
I've been really, really pleased with Anthony's development. He works hard. He's a dependable player. I think he's getting really good work in with the quarterbacks. But I do see Anthony taking a step. I've seen him take a step, I should say, from a young guy who we know was always smart, but becoming more comfortable in what he's doing, catching the football really well. So really excited about his development.
And Hayden, I'm with you. I'd love to see him bring in a veteran wide receiver. I think they're trying to give the young guys every opportunity to kind of go out and grab a role, a significant role.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Schwartz, God bless him. I think that last year really did have a bad effect on his game. I mean, he had injuries, and I get that. Everybody has injuries, but he didn't impress me last year. He didn't. And he was the first one to say today that last year did not go the way he wanted it to. So I need to see an Anthony Schwartz that is reliable catching the football, but also, more importantly, that gives us more than just straight up and down speed. He said it himself at Auburn. He was used as a gadget player. In Cleveland, I think thus far he's been used as a gadget player. Can you show me, Anthony Schwartz, that you got more than just that world-class speed, that you have that ability to get away from the tackler, to break tackles, to make football moves? He doesn't have that football move from what I can see. He has that straight up and down speed. He doesn't have that lateral quickness that you'd like to see. Like a guy, when I think of football moves, I think of Cade Hunt, right? A guy that can just wiggle his way, get out, get free, find a way to get the job done. Anthony Schwartz, I think the first time he gets touched, he's on the ground. So can you do it? Can you put more into it? Can you be better? I think he deserves a shot. He's a third-round pick. He's fast as all hell. So figure out a way to put it together, Anthony. And I think that, you could definitely be a part of the offense. But otherwise, again, it might be a tough road for him to get on the field, because if he doesn't find a way to make those football moves, if he doesn't find a way to avoid tacklers, if he doesn't find a way to get open, then that's all he's going to be, as a gadget guy. And that's okay, but you're not going to see the field that much.
So let me ask you this. Which of the wide receivers, the young wide receivers, do you think take a step forward and kind of seize the opportunity that's before him? Who would you guess, takes advantage?
Yeah, I don't know. I think probably David Bell. I think that David Bell has, he just has that I'm not anti numbers and all that and data and all that, but like when I watch football, I got to see that a guy can play football. And I think David Bell is just one of those guys that can just play football. He doesn't jump off at you with all the skills. He doesn't jump off with you all the 40 times and all that, but he can just get the job done. So that's the kind of guy I'm looking for, and I think that David Bell can certainly do that.
Yeah, I'm with you. The way I kind of always describe it when people ask me, it's like they're not running an obstacle course. They're playing football. Show me somebody that can catch football, and David Bell might be one of those guys whose football speed is a little faster than when you sit there and go click, click on the stopwatch.
Exactly. It's all about football speed. I mean, we see guys that are fast, and then all of a sudden they go on like Anthony Schwartz, great example, fast as can be, like a lightning bolt. But it doesn't matter if he gets tripped up and he doesn't have that kind of lateral quickness to make one quick move so we can go. You got to have everything. You got to just have that uncanny ability to play the game. And, you see it with Deshaun Watson. I mean, you just see it so clearly that, yes, he might not jump off the board with all of his, physical attributes, but man, he just knows how to throw the football. He can get it into tight spaces. It just works for him. So I want to see that from Anthony Schwartz. I want to see if he can put it together.
Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer, cleveland.com, and I are going to step aside, take one more time out. Other side of the break, we head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Also take a look at some teams that are set up for future success. Sports4CLE, be right back. Stay with us.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery, partners in education, where stars shine. Welcome back to Sports4CLE. We continue talking Browns with Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about the whole Deshaun Watson situation.
Hey, how's it going? Big Browns fan. I have a two-part question. Do you think the Texans will be held responsible for their involvement when it comes to the Deshaun Watson case? Also, I see that Cam Newton is still available. Do you think he'll be a great addition to the team? Thank you.
As always, appreciate all the voicemails. Now, what the caller is referencing is apparently the Texans helped set up some of the massage therapist sessions and then provided an NDA for some of them. And again, that can be explained away a number of different ways. Hayden, I can't see the league not knowing what went on with the Texans. I would be very surprised. So I don't think they're going to be held responsible. And I'll defer to you here in a minute. I think the tank's pretty empty with Cam Newton. Really good for a while, but the last couple of years just hadn't been there.
Yeah, in terms of Texans, I mean, what can you do now? The draft pick already happened already. You had, it's just hard to put it all back in the bottle at this point. So the Texans kind of, maybe they knew all this and the Browns, again, didn't care or just they got fleeced. I don't know, whatever. The point being is that, no, I don't think that the Texans will face a ton. Maybe they'll get fined or something, whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't figure that much to happen there. Maybe they'll be held. Maybe they'll lose a draft pick or two. I don't know. But with Cam Newton, I love Cam Newton. Always have loved Cam Newton. I just think with this particular group, he'd probably be more of a distraction than anything. He comes in and, he's got I love the guy. Trust me, I do. I love him. But he's got a big personality. He's kind of, not afraid to say what he needs to say, and that's fine. But you already got all these other distractions. Do you really need another one? I love Cam on the field. I love what he brings. If they didn't have Jacoby Brissett, I would definitely think about it. I think Jacoby's a good quarterback for what they need. Just a guy to kind of wrangle it all in, to not be a distraction, be a good teammate, just be solid. So I think I like Jacoby in that regard. I think we're going to see if he does play, I think we're going to see him succeed.
All right, so this is from the Bleacher Report, ranking the 7 teams best set up for future, and this is entering the 2022 season. So they go 1 Bills, 2 Bengals, 3 Chargers, 4 49ers, 5 Browns, 6 and 7 are the Chiefs and Eagles. Cleveland has amassed an impressive number of playmakers at key positions, and almost all of them will be in their primes from 2024 to 2026. Watson and edge rusher Myles Garrett will be 30 in 2025. Joel Bitonio, the only player over 30 with a larger contract past 2024. So again, there's some uncertainty with Watson, but Andrew Berry in the front office has done a nice job of kind of setting this up for an extended run at what they hope are deep playoff runs in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the only problem is they got 3 other AFC teams that are right on top of there, the Bills, Bengals, and Chargers, all of whom have great quarterbacks as well. So, I think the Browns are very well set up for the future. I think it's a great organ. They've done a great job setting their team up, and they have some great opportunities to really get some franchise cornerstone players and to let them flourish. But they do. They have a lot of competition. There's no doubt. They have competition in the AFC, so it's going to be a dogfight year in and year out, no matter how well set up they are. But I agree that they are probably top 5. And, it's exciting for Browns fans to kind of have things to look forward to as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned the AFC. You got Allen, Burrow, Herbert. So it's a gauntlet. It is a gauntlet without question. All right, before we let you go, Browns, who are the heartbeat of the team. This is from Dog Pound Daily. They list 5 of them. They go number 1, Nick Chubb. Number 2, Myles Garrett. So they flip sides of the ball. Number 3, Denzel Ward. Number 4, and this one could have even probably been a little higher, Kareem Hunt. Number 5, Wyatt Teller, the tackle. That's a pretty good list, and it's pretty accurate as far as the guys that are kind of when you think of the heart and soul. And I think a guy that I would put as a guy who has a bullet next to him, you know, is ascending, is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I think he has that kind of personality and that kind of ability.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you think about Deshaun Watson being on that list, but we don't know what what the situation is. You know, he's a young, talented quarterback. But yeah, I think Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward. I mean, those are your kind of big three right there. Kareem Hunt has been a really good player for the organization, loves being home. I obviously think that they're going to have to figure out that contract situation in the near future. And Wyatt's the best. Wyatt's a great guy, works hard, affable, funny, just all around what you want in Cleveland. So Cleveland does have a good core of Cleveland players, very like down to earth, good guys that just work hard and get the job done. And I think you see that with every single one of those five.
I agree. I agree with you. As always, Hayden Grove, appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks so much for taking some time.
No problem. Thank you, Dave.
All right, Hayden Grove, make sure you read on pages of the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. We're going to step aside, take a timeout, other side of the break. Spencer German from 92.3 The Fan joins us. Sports4CLE. He'll be right back.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I am powerful beyond my wildest imagination.
I will define my future.
I will keep challenging myself to improve.
Because I am a future leader of this great nation.
I will be responsible for raising a beautiful family.
And educating not only my generation, but many more to come.
I will make a difference in my community.
And I will stand up for what I believe in.
I will not settle for simply chasing my dreams, I will achieve them.
Because I was given a chance.
An opportunity.
A home.
At Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America.
The ultimate leadership experience.
FCCLA has been one of the greatest experiences of my life.
It's made me who I am today.
Join us. We'll build a new future together.
We continue talking Browns here on Sports4CLE. Time to head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about the NFL and potentially suspending Deshaun Watson.
Oh, how you doing? I'm original, only from Lancaster, Ohio. I'm 40 years old. Been a Browns fan my entire life because my dad was a Bengals fan. So I've watched all what's happening all these years. And I have one simple question. How can the NFL actually punish somebody that hasn't been found guilty of anything? There's no indictments. There's no criminal charges. And he's yet to be found guilty on anything. So who are they to punish him ahead of schedule? I understand if he goes to court and any of these charges, a single one of them, he's found guilty on, that's punishable. I couldn't agree with that more. But that's not the case. How does the NFL get to do this before he's ever found guilty? It's nothing but personal accusations. They're civil cases. So how does the NFL have the right to honestly punish Deshaun Watson? That's my question. Thank you.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. So the thing to keep in mind, the NFL is not finding him guilty of anything other than violating their code of conduct, of hurting the reputation of the league. And they do have a precedence of punishing players who haven't been charged, haven't been found civilly liable but have tarnished the reputation of the league, and they've suspended them 8, 10, 12 games. So there is precedence for the league, and it is for violating their code of conduct, and that is if it's nebulous, it's by design. The commissioner and now the arbitrator will decide that, and they will mete out the punishment irrespective of if he's never found guilty or never found civilly liable. With that, let's welcome in Spencer German. And Spencer, the important thing to remember is it's for violation of the NFL's code of conduct, hurting the reputation of the NFL. That is what Roger Goodell or the independent arbitrator or whomever ends up deciding what it is, that's what Deshaun Watson will be or will not be suspended for.
Yeah, Dave, you hit the nail on the head. I understand, too, why sometimes it's difficult to understand the personal conduct policy because it is very vague and very broad, and the NFL kind of they're not bound by the law in terms of, somebody gets found guilty of something, now we have to, they kind of can set their own limitations on that. And I also think it's vague and broad on purpose, so that when these types of situations or lesser situations or worse situations come up, if there is much worse, they can kind of decide how they want to handle that on their own. And to your point, like, it's all about, we say it all the time, right? Protecting the shield. That's what it's all about for the NFL. They're trying to protect the shield. They're trying to protect their brand, and the personal conduct policy allows them to implement their own punishments based on that. We saw the same thing in baseball, right? With Trevor Bauer. He wasn't found guilty of anything. He's out of the game for 2 years now because baseball decided it was just too much for them to tolerate in their sport.
Yeah, and again, I'm with you. I think it's intentionally vague, so you can't come back and say, you can't do that because of this. It's vague enough that they can do pretty much what they see fit as an organization. And it's a billion with a B, probably tens of billions of dollars industry that they have. This is interesting, and this is a lot of fun. This is from NFL Films. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, the interaction, and let's listen into the Browns running backs.
Hey, 2-4. It's a nice day. I'm going to pound them boys. I'm going to pound them. Then probably come out, let your ass go in there, and you're going to break that. Said I always been told closed mouths don't get fed.
Yeah, I can tell. They owe my ass. It's on you today.
Nah, bro. That fourth quarter coming. You know how you get busy in that fourth. That fourth's still coming. I got you, baby. I got you. I'm here. I got your back whenever you need me. 2-4.
I love the part where Kareem Hunt says, closed mouths don't get fed, and Nick Chubb says, yeah. It's fun to watch those two interact, and I think it's minimized last year's injury to Hunt, how much that hurt the offense.
Oh, yeah, no question. I think it's, again, with everything going on with the Deshaun Watson stuff, these types of stories are great because it gives us, it's more of one of the endearing stories about this team, right? Just how those two guys have gotten along and how two running backs, Kareem Hunt, former rushing title winner, comes here and he's as unselfish as can be, gets a second chance of his own, and him and Nick Chubb just have this great relationship. And it's also kind of, you mentioned the reference there when they were sitting on the bench and he said the closed mouths don't get fed. It's almost like Nick Chubb is more of kind of the spiritual, kind of quiet guy, and then Kareem Hunt gets to be the mouthpiece for those two. Like, he kind of speaks up for both of them. So it is a great relationship between those two. And obviously when he's out there, when they're out there together and they can actually play, and Hunt's not injured, and I think we might be talking about this here in a second, like, easily the best running back duo in the NFL, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think the two of them extend each other's career. Shelf life of running back, they take a beating. So by kind of divvying it up, you might get an extra 2, 3, 4 years on each of their careers. You alluded to it, Pro Football Focus, the 2022 NFL running back unit rankings. Tier 1 elite, number 1, the Browns, and you see you got Chubb, you got Hunt, you got Dearness Johnson. You can probably throw Jerome Ford in there, the rookie. It's loaded, and it's really good.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You kind of forget, watching the video clip there, that Dearness Johnson's in the mix here too. And obviously he had some great games last year when Kareem Hunt was hurt. I like that you said like they extend each other's career a little bit by being able to both be out there. And I think that's so true. It's why them coming back this year together is going to be so huge. I mean, just down the roster in that backfield, you feel like there's at least 3 guys you can depend on, potentially 4 becomes a 4th. I understand like there's some other duos on the list that they talked about. Packers are on there with A.J. Dillon, obviously, and Aaron Jones, Matt Madison, and Dalvin Cook for the Vikings. Like, you have these other guys, but I don't know if anybody is like three or 4 running backs deep the way the Browns are. So, yeah, that group's impressive. I think the biggest question now becomes, again, potential suspension for Deshaun Watson looming. If Jacoby Brissett is starting, how likely or how much is Kevin Stefanski going to rely on these guys? Because I think that was a question, especially towards the end of last year, that, you know, maybe they didn't use the run game enough. So I think that's a question everybody wants to see. And maybe it was just that without Kareem Hunt out there, they didn't feel as comfortable with it. And with him back, they'll sort of get back into the mix here. But, yeah, hard to find a better running back group than this one. And let's hope that they use it to their advantage this fall.
So here's another one. This is from Pro Football Focus again. Running backs with 100-plus forced missed tackles since 2020. We have a tie for first between Nick Chubb and Dalvin Cook of the Vikings. You also see that is ahead of Jonathan Taylor of the Colts, Derrick Henry of the Titans. So forced missed tackles, meaning, you know, Nick Chubb is making the guy miss. It's not just a missed tackle. Nick Chubb making tacklers miss.
Yeah, I've said this, I think, for a couple of years now. Nick Chubb isn't your, you know, catch the ball out of the backfield running back, and we've seen that in this offense. That's more so Kareem Hunt's role in a lot of ways. But just from like a pure running back standpoint, it's hard to find a guy like Nick Chubb these days that solely is that good at that job and gets paid for it. I mean, a lot of days nowadays you're looking for a guy who can do it all. Nick Chubb doesn't necessarily do the pass catching as much, but he to me is the best just pure running back in the NFL if you're talking strictly from giving the ball and see what he can do, not necessarily out on the perimeter catching passes. I love his game. It's a reason why he's one of my favorite players to watch each and every Sunday.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, he can run people over, and he can also run by people when he sees the open field. Spencer German and I are going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Other side of the break, we head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. We'll also talk a little bit about the trade that brought Deshaun Watson to the Browns. Sports4CLE, be right back. Stay with us.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with Spencer German from 92.3 The Fan. Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about Deshaun Watson.
Dave, this is Cassius, the quintessential Cleveland Browns fan. I'm heartbroken today because after I'm seeing the national talk shows talking about the 66 different masseuse that Deshaun Watson hired and how hard they coming down on him and all of that. I believe it's over there. I believe that Deshaun Watson will never play a down for the Cleveland Browns. I believe some kind of way the pressure is going to become too intense, and the Haslams are going to find a way to terminate the contract, and then they'll be in a legal battle with him. I believe Deshaun Watson will never, ever play a down for the Cleveland Browns, and that has me so defeated, Billy. Whew. Browns in the dog pound.
Cassius, as always, appreciate the voicemails. Spencer, I'll say this. I think that's a little extreme at this point. Let me ask you this, your opinion. If Andrew Berry could go back before the Deshaun Watson trade, do you think he makes the trade again? What do you think he tries to do to get that quarterback? Keep in mind, people want to say Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson had to waive a no trade, and he would not waive it to come to Cleveland. So keep that in mind. What do you think Andrew Berry does?
Yeah, I mean, I think to the Russell Wilson point, like we saw the other veteran quarterbacks that were options, right? We saw how those kind of played out this offseason, and the Browns really weren't in the mix for them. This seemed to be the one option they had. I mean, I have a hard time believing that they wouldn't have made the trade just because of how things have transpired now. Look, if Andrew Berry and if the Browns organization were willing to deal with the 22 accusations already against him that they knew about that were public, and we don't know, maybe they did know about these more recent ones that have come to light as well. If they were willing to look past or make this deal knowing that those were there, I mean, as bad as it sounds, I guess, what's two more, right? Like, the fact of the matter is the Browns were one of 13 teams on the original list of teams that were interested in Deshaun Watson. That list ended up getting whittled down to like 7 that were more serious contenders and teams that the Texans really were willing to make a deal with. So if it wasn't going to be the Browns, it was going to be somebody else. I think a lot of these GMs, or at least the ones that were in the mix on trying to make a deal, all would have done this trade over again back then and still here today on June 8th with more accusations coming to light. I think they knew what they signed up for. They knew what they were hitching their wagon to, and I think they would do it again.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. And again, I'm very curious to find out if the Browns and the NFL knew about the now 66, and we may never know that, but that is one thing that I'm curious to find out. All right, before we let you go, Andrew Brandt talked about Rusty Hardin's comments last week, as well as the Deshaun Watson possible suspension. This is from the Pat McAfee Show. Andrew Brandt is a former NFL executive, was the president of the Green Bay Packers.
I don't get it. I would not be saying anything. I would think him talking about happy endings as kind of normalizing it, that doesn't help any case. It was even mentioned in the latest filing that went on yesterday, and I knew that would be once they put that out there. Listen, AJ, I've been pretty clear on this. I don't understand what's going on here. We've been dealing with this for 18 months. We're going to see discipline, as my colleague Albert Breer said the other day, maybe in July. But this one bugs me because I can get signing a guy who's maybe had some character issues or had some bad things going on in his life as a player on your team, just a player. But the Browns made him the face of the franchise. The Browns gave him the best contract in the history of football. The Browns gave him the most secure contract in football for a guy facing this, for a guy that even with the 22 lawsuits, a pattern where, let's just put it as nicely as possible, where he sought massages wanting them to work on his private parts. I mean, this is something like, really? This is the face of the Browns?
And again, Spencer, you mentioned it. 13 teams were interested. So it's tough, but that's where you're at.
Yeah, I think I understand the outside perspective, and I've understood the whole time during this conversation that's gone on since the trade went through. where it's like, well, why? Like, why would a team sign up for this? I just think the reality is these teams, their moral compass is strictly winning, and that they look past a lot of this stuff to get in a guy and bring him in, even despite the baggage. And this is maybe the largest example of that. I mean, I don't think we've ever seen anything on this scale, but I just think that's the reality of the NFL. I also do agree, though, like, I understood Rusty Hardin. I mean, he came on our station, 92.3 The Fan, as did Tony Busby. I understand why he's tried to be a little more out there and telling Deshaun's side of the story, because, and he admitted it, like, they're losing the PR battle at this point, which they figured was going to happen, but they at least want to put some stuff out there of like, this is where we're at, this is how we feel, this is our stance. But the comments he made last week just felt like he was maybe talking too much at that point. Like, all right, you made your stance, you said what you had to say, now you kind of put your foot in your mouth. I don't think he did any favors for Deshaun on that one, and I think the more they talk, it's just going to look worse at this point. It might be better just to kind of hunker down. So, and Deshaun too, like, Deshaun's posting on Instagram. It's like, you can't say that you're going to deny and not talk about it and then go and talk about it. So I don't know. It's a very difficult thing, as we've obviously alluded to, but yeah, I think that this is where we're at. Like, the NFL, it's the world we live in the NFL.
Spencer German, 92.3 The Fan, as always. Good stuff. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks, Spencer.
Appreciate you, Dave. Thanks for having me, man.
All right, Spencer German. Make sure you check him out, 92.3 The Fan. That's going to do it for this edition of Sports for CLE. See you back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Scheduled guests Quincy Carrier and Ashley Bastock from the Plain Dealer, as well as cleveland.com. Tomorrow at 4 here on Sports for CLE. We'll see you then. Have a great night, everybody.